Okay, I think we're ready to go. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Work, Work, Work. Today's webinar is being presented by RICV and EPU, SCDD, and CVRC. So before I introduce our next video, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. Today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the conference is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with friends. We also invite your comments and questions. Please look in the Q&A chat box on your screen. If you think of a question for the speakers at any point, just type it in there and I will either pose it to our speaker at that time or hold it for the discussion portion at the end of the event. So our first video is going to be about career exploration. Career exploration is simply learning about various occupations and their fit with your unique career preferences. Example, like the skills, interests, and values you want satisfied by your career. All right, Gerald, take it away. I'm not hearing any sound, Gerald.
Hello, my name is Chloe Hagan,
My name is Darian Tankersley.
and today we are presenting on career exploration. The topics that we will be covering today are our career hopes and dreams, our career preferences, our career nightmares / career related strengths, our networking and education and training, research and evaluating, discuss and decide, and career exploration examples.
Career hopes and dreams. My short-term goal would be to finish my internship and to do some volunteering at Wayfinders. My long-term goal was to get full-time employment either at RICV or other related businesses.
One of my short-term goals and hopes and dreams is to finish my internship at RICV and to get a job at Wayfinders. One of my long-term hopes and dreams is to get a full-time job at RICV or another advocacy company. Right now, I'm doing that dream. I have a full-time job at RICV. Um, and I love what I do, and so I'm just continuing on this path.
Career preferences. My career preferences: office related jobs, customer service or data entry, etc. I also am very interested in advocacy and just informing other students with disabilities the opportunities that are out there for them in the community.
Some of my career preferences is advocacy. I like educating youth with disabilities about the opportunities and resources that are available for them out in their community. I also would like to do customer service. I like working in customer service and it comes naturally to me.
Career nightmares. Just so you guys know, these are my examples of my career nightmares. Um, High intensity jobs such as law enforcement, park ranger, pilot, firefighter. Because of my anxiety, I would not want to do these jobs.
Some of my career related strengths are I have a great customer service skills, leadership skills, and listening skills that will help me when I work in the fields that I choose. Some of the pictures that we have for you here are a picture with a red background with trees that have no leaves. They look kind of dead, and computers flying in the air, and a Twitter sign with like flapping wings. We also have a picture with two hands holding shaking hands, with some words like knowledge, learning, skills, experience, ability, and so on. Questions to ask yourself while in your career exploration. Networking. Do ask these questions to yourself. I asked the question, do I know anyone currently in one of my career choices? I answered the question to myself and I said, yes, I currently do know people that are in my career field. And because of this, I asked if I could interview them and if they have any employment leads. And that led me to getting a job, um, the current job that I have right now, and the internship that I just accomplished a couple months ago as well.
Education and training. Ask yourself, do any of your your do any of your career choices require any extra education or training? For an example, my none of my career choices require any extra education or training. Um, yeah.
Research. Do your research. Research short term and long term careers. For example, some short term um, examples would be working at a grocery store as a cashier, and maybe a long term example would be a manager at the grocery store that you were cashier at. Maybe getting up on the ladder and reaching higher for higher paying jobs.
Ask yourself, um, do any of do you know how to evaluate? The way you would evaluate would be I would to be shadow someone to find out if you're interested and really see if that's the career you would want to do. So my um ideal career would be to help other students. So I would evaluate my short term and long term goals to just see if that assess to what I was trying to aim for the entire time.
Right here we have a picture of a scale that have the word pros and the word cons on it. The pros is a little higher up and the cons are a little lower down on the scales. Discuss. Discuss and have a conversation. Have a conversation with people who support you. I had a conversation with people who supported me, and that really worked for me. Sometimes talking something out can help you in your decision making, like it did for me.
You have to decide sometime, decide to make a final decision or say on a topic. Um, this would be the time for you to make a final decision on what job you would really want to do. Examples: I would want to work in an office as an assistant.
Career exploration examples. Here are some career exploration examples. Um, one example would be a teacher's assistant. Um, how you earn your teacher's assistant would be earn an associate's degree in education. assistant teaching, or related subjects. Complete an internship as a teacher's assistant. Take any test required in your state for teacher's assistant licensure. Apply for your teacher's assistant license and begin applying to open teacher's assistant positions.
The other career path we have for you here today is teacher. So the necessary requirements would be to obtain a bachelor's degree, complete district or state approved teaching program, pass required exams in your school district or state, such as the PRACs, um, submit a teaching license application.
What are your career goals? Please type it in the chat. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.
Thank you guys again. I hope you guys enjoyed it and hope to hear you guys' feedback.
All right. Thank you, Gerald. Okay, so what are your guys' dream careers?
Yeah, we want to hear what are some of the things that you guys have thought about doing when you move into the work world. And what I thought was really cool about this particular presentation is, Darian and Chloe, they're both young adults, youth, just like many of you out there listening. And I love that they gave examples of, some of their short-term and long-term goals as well. Didn't you like that, Jordan?
Definitely, yes. And people are saying, what a wonderful presentation and very nice. And then we have some people who have answered the question. So
What do we have?
We have, I would work in game design in the technology field. That's a very bright career. We have a behavioral specialist.
Oh, fancy.
Mm-hmm. We have an artist, a VFX artist, marine biologist, onthologist. I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what that is either. Can you tell us?
Yeah, Lily, what is an onthologist? We have wanting to become an artist, mainly comic, with side job as a baker.
Ooh, fun.
We have a dream career would be on a travel food show. So we got a foodie here. Bakery.
Creative.
Yeah, bakery to bake yummy sweets. We have a teacher who has answered for 3 of their students, Target, a movie theater maintenance, and Sam's Club.
Ooh, Sam's Club. Then you can get all the samples, right?
We have a soccer player. Love working with youth and technology, but my dream job is being a special education teacher.
Nice.
Digital art on computer. We have a soccer player. Somebody wants to be the Nunhood sisters in the Covenant. Music store, museum. Ooh, the Red Cross. YouTuber, we've heard a lot of that in our presentations that we give around town.
A lot of YouTube.
Okay, Lily said, sorry, ornithologist, bird science.
Ah, I was wondering if it was that. That's very cool, Lily.
Mm-hmm. Galena wants to be a police officer.
I could picture that. I could totally picture you as a police officer, Galena.
And last one, auto shop, work at an animal rescue center or photography.
Oh, those are all very different things. Very, very cool. All right. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and move on. So, part of getting a job or getting a volunteer position can be made a whole lot easier if you network. And networking is one of my favorite things to do. I love to get to know people in and out of my field of work because it gives me a whole network of folks that I can connect with to, create other services or even connect some of you with if maybe you have a career question for them. And one example is I have a friend over at CMAC, which is a local community media access channel here in Fresno. And I had a consumer who wanted to learn more about working in that field and being a video editor. And so we were able to all sit down together and chat about that. So that was one way that I've networked. Now we're going to learn a little bit more from Katie Dorsch, our intern. All right, Gerald, roll the video.
Hi, my name is Katie Dorsch. I'm an intern from Fresno State University, serving with Resources for Independent Central Valley. Today, I'm going to be talking about tips for networking success. First, we need to think of networking in a positive way. You'll have the most success if you think about it as building a community of support, which is really what networking comes down to. Building relationships within your community that are both positive and beneficial. Next is recognizing that networking is an investment. It's like building the foundation for your house. You're building relationships that could be the foundation for your level of community engagement, peer support, services, and of course, your career. It's an investment that may bring returns over a longer period and maybe even through another part of the network. The good thing is these relationships are a portable asset that travels with you no matter where you go. The portability means it's never a wasted effort and also serves as a useful reminder to avoid taking a business deal approach, such as expecting immediate on-the-spot results. Be clear about your purpose. Reminding yourself of why you're building this community will help you take action and take actions that make sense. For example, your why will guide you. Will guide the kinds of invitations that you accept and the people you choose to approach, given your limited time. And every once in a while, say yes to something you wouldn't normally say yes to. That keeps things fresh while also testing whether your criteria are still appropriate. So what is your purpose? Is it about building your network for the job you're in? Is it to be in the flow for future opportunities? To learn and gain knowledge in a particular area or aspect? To find like-minded peers? All of these are valid goals, and you can have more than one. The important thing is to identify what those goals are so that you can be open to the opportunities that come your way. Next, do it your own way. If big events aren't your thing, don't sweat it. You can choose to network in one-on-one situations or in small groups instead. Nobody says you have to go to those overcrowded events. Invite someone for coffee, form a running group, come up with settings that work best for you. Show up and set a goal. When you find that you have to be in a large group setting and attend that big fancy gala dinner, then set a goal and let yourself off the hook once you achieve that goal. For example, if you're shy, you could set the goal of talking to someone within the first 30 seconds of entering the room, which will break the ice. Or you can decide to introduce yourself to 3 people and find out something intriguing about each one of them. Who knows? You may even end up enjoying it and outperforming your expectations. Next is to team up. Another strategy when you're uncomfortable going in it alone at a big reception is to agree to go with someone else. As they say, teamwork makes a dream work. Approaching a group as a pair can be much less intimidating than going in at it alone. It is a good way to get the conversation flowing. You could even share the story of how you and your partner in crime met to get people engaged. Next is to network from wherever you are. Sometimes it doesn't take extra time from your day to network if you're sitting next to someone in a conference, on a bus, at a neighbor's barbecue, or even at a school event. When you see someone new or someone you would like to get to know in your normal course of life, start a conversation. Introduce yourself. Be interested in learning about them. Come up with an elevator pitch. Introduce yourself. Imagine you are on an elevator ride and you only have 30 seconds to say a little bit about who you are. When you have set bullet points to start a conversation and also answer the questions, what do you do? Or tell me a little bit about yourself. It can be less daunting to participate actively in larger settings. In fact, you can use them as an opportunity to try out different ways to talk about what you do and see what sparks people's interest in you. Next is to give first. Once you get beyond the first meeting, and if you decide it's worth keeping in touch, then be willing to give before you take. You could follow up with a note and take an article to or some other thoughtful offer that builds on what you've talked about. For example, if you spoke with someone who shares a common interest in advocacy, you might send them a link to an article as a follow-up, or make them aware of an interesting program on the subject. Or better yet, find a way to help them increase their advocacy efforts by making an introduction to someone else who can help them. Lastly, then do ask. Building your community is a two-way street. By making an ask now and then, it can strengthen the relationship. Plus, that way, both sides can feel they've contributed. There is not a one-size-fits-all approach on how someone networks. The more that you place yourself in situations where you can meet new people to expand your network, the better you will get at it. You will find that introducing yourself to new people becomes effortless. So get out there and network your heart out and watch your community of support grow.
All right. Thank you, Gerald. And thank you, Katie. So my question to you guys, and open up the Q&A, what are the benefits of networking? And one thing too that I found out already in the chat, someone has asked, do you know Lauren? And then they responded, yes, I do know Lauren. We worked together at IATP. And so look at this, at networking and knowing somebody who knew somebody, and then now they know each other.
Exactly.
They probably weren't even doing that, to help me out, but they gave me an example.
Right. That's fantastic.
So while everyone is typing up their answers, I'll kind of give you an answer for the benefits of networking. I always heard a saying, it's not who you know, it's how you know them. And I feel like that is very true, because you might just meet someone. I've met people eating at Japanese kitchen and we're sitting across the table and they're a stranger in the beginning, but by the time I'm done eating, we know a lot about one another. So I'll, take that opportunity to make a new friend. And then I've even gotten job opportunities and people who have come over and like they owned a business and they were able to fix something in my house. So that's another benefit of networking. And Galena said, socializing with people, going to places like programs or work, etc., something like that.
Well, and Jordan, that was a great example. And while people are typing, I'll share an example of my own. That's pretty fantastic. So one night a couple of years ago, I was working out in Clovis, and I had to call a Lyft to pick me up to take me home. And it's a little bit of a ways to my house, so I had lots of time to talk with the Lyft driver. And I was talking to him about, one of my volunteer things that I do, and was telling him how we wanted to create, this logo. Well, guess what? That was the business that he was, wanting to get into. And so he actually ended up creating the logo that we use today for my local CCV chapter, and didn't charge us anything. We gave him a little gift, but again, it's just chatting with people. You never know who you're going to meet, and how you can help each other out, and he was able to use us as a reference as well. So, I mean, it's a give, just like Katie said in her video.
Mm-hmm. And the chat is not very busy, but one other person said, it's good to make friends and help as a team.
It is. It's very, very true. Well, since our chat isn't very busy, then I think we should go ahead and roll on to our next video. It's a public service announcement, a PSA from our local ARC here in Fresno, so you can learn about what kind of programs they offer. So Gerald, roll the video.
The ARC Fresno Madera. Hi, my name is Elena Ramos, Community Specialist for the ARC Fresno Madera Counties. The ARC has done an untold amount of work in developing advocacy skills for each and every one of our individuals, whether that be to improve their communication skills or to improve their employment opportunities. Unfortunately, this time last year, the ARC had to suddenly close due to our current pandemic, and we quickly realized that not only were staff struggling with the transition, but so were our individuals. When we began our alternative services conducted via Zoom, the team met and decided that our advocacy classes would be a top priority on our list. Once we started our classes, we noticed that our advocacy classes were some of the most attended, and shortly after that, we noticed that We had a positive trend in our more soft-spoken individuals advocating for themselves for their wants and needs without assistance from their staff. Now, this made the team so excited, so we began to implement some of these tools and techniques into our everyday, day-to-day workplace to improve our person-centered approaches.
Our individuals advocated for fitness and stamina training. We find different ways to meet our individuals' needs. Whether it's fitness training or sports, we always find a way to help. Some of our individuals enjoy expressing themselves through different forms of art. As you can see here, one of their favorite forms of expression is music. The ARC gladly sponsors Action Club alongside Kiwanis. This is a group based on community service. Here is another example of how we fulfill our individuals' requests.
During the pandemic, our individuals advocated for some type of services. Our first virtual class was paint night. The Action Club president advocated to keep the pantry open during this time to feed those in need. Our individuals advocated they wanted to work, so we do our best to find employment opportunities.
We do it with pride. Wake up! A generation of innovators unable to patiently wait for change, because change is what they've been afraid of. Their malevolence can wait, raise the level of...
Here we have an individual who advocated to film a YouTube video for our channel.
Fill the world with music, love, and pride. Love is love is love is love is love is love.
There are those who advocated for cooking classes to develop and learn independent living skills.
So today, we're going to be making our turkey wraps.
At the beginning of the pandemic, we decided to do a parade to engage with our individuals from a safe distance.
How's everybody doing?
Because of the power of our individuals' voices, we kickstarted our alternative services.
Good to hear.
We kept the pantry open to serve all 6 counties that CVRC provides services to. As the class progresses, you can see the level of confidence rise. This is why self-advocacy is important.
You love yours? Is it turning out good?
Yeah.
Here is one of our many paid internship program participants hard at work.
I'm gonna see your beautiful wraps. Ooh, yes. Nice job, everyone. Beautiful.
Achieve greater independence by enriching their lives.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we did have some people in the chat after we started the video. Someone said that they volunteer at the Aquarium of the Pacific. So they work alongside people who are in marine science. Somebody else said, how do I get in the networking, presenting yourself, of how to start a company from scratch or the ground up in that field of getting to know everyone who supports you in this business?
Really, my advice would be to just get out there on the web and start looking for different ways that you can network within, whatever that field is. There could be some online forums, there could be some online meetups as well. Some people are meeting in person in some areas, but I don't really know about any of that. But that's been kind of how I've done some things where I've just did a Google search. Google's our friend.
Definitely. And then last comment, networking is a great way to learn what a future job will look like and what sort of people you would work with. And then it says, do you share the same interests? And that's a great That's a great point.
Very
Okay.
true.
So next, we're going to show you guys a video about volunteerism. And there are many benefits to volunteering. You can gain confidence, you can meet people, make a difference, learn new skills, be a part of the community, and just have fun. So Gerald, go ahead and play the next video.
And this one is brought to us by Every Neighborhood Partnership.
Well, welcome everybody. My name is Andrew File, and I am the Executive Director at Every Neighborhood Partnership. We are a nonprofit in Fresno, California. And ENP simply exists to connect volunteers to serve at elementary schools. That started with us placing volunteers from churches at some elementary schools here in Fresno, but now we work with Fresno State, we work with businesses, any group that wants to serve, wants to be a blessing on a school campus and in a school neighborhood. Our goal is to have a partner at every one of our Fresno, Clovis elementary schools and those neighborhoods. So we do a lot of service work. So my task in this session is really to begin to address this idea of why do we serve? What is service about? And just to encourage y'all with a story. So I'm going to be sharing an interview I did with Milka, who's one of our volunteers. So she's going to share her story, but I just want to give you a little kind of context and history and vision for service. So glad to be with you all today and to be sharing with you. So again, my name is Andrew File over at Every Neighborhood Partnership. We help you serve one neighborhood at a time. So even as we start to think about like what is a volunteer, what is the role of a volunteer? You all, this is not a live session, but I'd have you throw it in the chat or we'd interact around this. But there's a lot of different kind of reasons and ways reasons why people volunteer, right? So they may have a desire to help out. They may have a desire to be a part of a cause that they value, believe in. ENP works with a lot of Fresno State students. Milka is one of them. And she was volunteering for a requirement, right? It was built into her school curriculum. And because of that, she had to do it. But she stayed on with us because she found the work that she was doing, the volunteer work, really meaningful and purposeful. Volunteering at its essence, right, is giving of your time and your energy, and often you don't get paid, right? You get paid in the feeling and the way it makes you feel. I showed this in a class recently, and don't take it as an insult. Sesame Street, what I love about them is they got to take difficult concepts and make them very simple and clear. So even as I think about myself, what is a volunteer? Yeah, I just assume we all know it. And why is this something that exists in our society? The American culture is a very volunteer-led culture. Some of the folks that came and visited America early on, right? They visited America and said, America just has these like civic societies where people create community, they serve one another, they connect with one another. It's a very volunteer-led, we call these nonprofits often, right? CBOs, community-based organizations. But one reason, right? Here are a couple of reasons and a couple of the data behind volunteering. One is it helps, it's good for like others, right? It serves a need. In this last year of the pandemic, ENP has helped get out about 70,000 food boxes to the Fresno Clovis area. And we get that food from the food bank. So they donate it to us. We do the distribution out at local elementary school, and then volunteers come out and they give food to families. So it's a drive-through, touchless kind of process. And the motivation for the volunteers is they know that people are hungry. They know that people are on a tight budget. And so these food boxes help a working family or family out of work stretch what money they have. And so they know it's good for the neighborhood and they feel like they're making the community a better place. So that's one of the reasons. Two, we know that we're made to give. We know that we're made to bless others. Like that's part of our wiring as humans. When we're altruistic, when we help others, we're actually happier people. And so part of a reason to volunteer is that people say, you hear this line and you've heard this line, you probably have said it, is I got back more than I gave, right? So I gave somebody time, energy, money, resources, but what I got back was so much more important and rewarding. So it actually makes us happy. It makes us feel like we have a purpose in this life. All of us, whether religious or not, we want to make a difference in this world. When we're gone, when we're not here, we want to know we made a positive stamp on this place. The world is better because of us. And when we volunteer, we connect to that like internal desire to make a purpose and make a difference in this world. And so it lifts people's mood. Especially the volunteering where you can see the change, right? Like, you know, you're part of a change. So really look at that numbers. 94% said it improved their mood. 96% said it helped them feel part of a greater purpose. So that's huge. And that's why, even for myself, like when one of the spaces I volunteer in is I do this thing called Faith and Finances. And so I get to share about finances and how like our finances are, so it's most of the folks are low income and they're trying to figure out how do they integrate their faith and their finances together? How do they start a budget? How do they start saving? And when I finish a class, I'm using some expertise I have and I'm connecting with people and seeing them make change. And that is like so encouraging. That's so exciting. And I leave those times just energized, right? So I found something over a lot of different service experiences that I love to do. And so it makes you happy. You all have, I'm sure, felt that and experienced that. One of the things we need now more than ever is it actually helps reduce our stress. So volunteering, both maybe by the physical work, by the altruistic effects, and just like stepping out of ourselves, right? We're pretty self-centered in our culture and in our world. And so when we step out of that, it actually helps us reduce our stress levels. We connect to others, we connect to the earth, we connect to a greater sense of purpose, and that actually reduces our stress level. So it creates a relationship, it creates connection, and especially for some of us, we're kind of isolated. And so when we get into these volunteering spaces, we meet people from all over, right? We meet people from different parts of the United States, different parts, immigrants from different parts of the country and the world. You feel connected to others outside of yourself. And that all that works to do is to reduce stress, which is obviously super positive. And then it keeps you healthy. So especially a lot of the physical activity, right? In Fresno, there's a big initiative called Beautify Fresno. And you're getting out in the sun, you're getting out in the air, which is great for you. You're picking up trash, you're working. And so in that, it actually helps you and just like it helps your body, right? Makes you feel healthier, better mood, less stress equals better health. And so that's a great equation that we need more of in our community. And then finally, it develops professional skills. So you'll hear even in Milka's story. For her, it was part of building a resume, it's building connections. She needed to work with kids and have experience working with kids. So this allowed her to have it on her resume. She gets to know nonprofits, she gets to know schools and principals and teachers, right? And that begins to help her feel confident in her future career. It helps her build connection with people that potentially could hire. I know for us, we've hired folks as an organization that have been volunteers with us. I would say 75% of our staff at some point were a volunteer with us. And so we see people that have a heart that we appreciate. We get to know their skills and we watch those things grow and we say, that's the type of person we want at our organization, right? And so that's, the scope of volunteering allows you to connected for your professional and work life. And so you also build a lot of those skills that as an employer work people are looking for, like, right? Can you work together with others? Can you problem solve? You know, do you have time management skills, right? All these things that employers are looking for. They get to watch you on the clock, your volunteering clock, to do that. So those are some of the reasons people volunteer, and then some of the data about why this is important and how it works. So, you know, you have to begin to think about, why do you want to volunteer? Like, what are you going to get out of this? What is your motivation? What is going to keep you going when you are just like, I'd rather not today. Like, this bed's feeling really comfortable, or I just don't want to feel awkward. Even we work with kids, right? A lot of EMP's volunteering is with little kids. Little kids are scary. Little kids are like, there's some reason sitting down with a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, I as a grown man, I'm thinking, will they like me? Like, am I boring? Do I have anything to talk about? All of a sudden I get really nervous about being around a little kid. And so what's going to keep you, as you think about volunteering, what's going to keep you going? What's going to give you energy and vision for that work? And what I would say, just as you begin to think about where could you volunteer, is connect it with your assets. So that's a big fancy term, your assets. We don't use that when we think about ourselves typically, but there are these areas of us that are our head, right? The stuff we know. Like, what are the things that you know, big or little, right? This could be like, you're super brilliant at programming, or it could be like, I can make mac and cheese. Like, I know how to do that, you know? What is your heart? What is the things you like love doing, that just drive you, that give you energy, that that really light your flame? The things of your hands. What are the things that it's a skill you've developed? For me, it's like photography. I know how to do it. I can do it. I actually don't, the heart's not there for me right now. It's not a passion of me, but I had the skill. So I'll still take photos for, you know, of a friend's family. I'll still do it with my own family, or even at events that I go to, I'll do photos. But it's not a passion, but I can do it. I can serve in that way of taking some pictures that look good, and capture the emotion in the events. And then finally, your heritage. So what are the things of your culture, your family, your background, your ethnicity that are gifts to you? So these are like really important things to use as filters that help you just begin to know, hey, where maybe could I be of service, or what would I love? For us, as we think about volunteers, we always tell people, make a commitment. So I'm going to commit to this for maybe 6 months. I'm going to give it a shot. And if I love it, great, I'll keep going. If I don't, there's no harm in that. You only know what you like, and you only know what you're good at if you try. And so the invitation there, though, is to begin to think about, if this is not stuff you know how to do, this is not stuff you're passionate about or interested in, you may not last very long in that volunteering space. And sometimes volunteering is a one-off, right? You're going to go pick up trash in a neighborhood. That's just a one-time thing. Sometimes, though, you want to find like a commitment, something regularly that you can do every week, every month, you know, regularly throughout the year, that kind of thing. So one of the things I'd just begin to think of, use your core passions, use your assets, right? Head, heart, hands, heritage, as a frame to think about where you could volunteer. So what I want to do, I'm going to do a little intro, and I'll have Milka introduce herself. But wanted to give you a story from somebody that volunteers with EMP that also has a disability, but has been an amazing volunteer with us. She has been able to connect. She speaks Spanish, so she's able to connect with some of our families who don't speak English, and then just mentor the kids, be a huge support to us at EMP. And we've really appreciated her, and wanted to just allow her to tell a little bit of her story. So we're going to go ahead and play that now.
My name is Milka Gutierrez, and I am a student at Fresno State. I'm a senior. I'm expected to graduate this May with my bachelor's in psychology. I began to volunteer with ENP as a literacy mentor because I needed a course requirement to be fulfilled as a to basically just get experience, field experience. And my goal is to work with children, and I'd like to be an advocate at some point. And I've genuinely enjoyed. I didn't think that I would enjoy working with kids as much as I have.
How have you seen any progress from the kids that you've been mentoring?
I have, and that's so exciting to see the difference, you know, to see that progress. And it's incredible. I had this little girl at the beginning. It was super funny because I had her write, she didn't know how to identify the letter H. So I had her write it down, and she copied the letter and she wrote in a lowercase h. And I asked her, can you show me what an uppercase H looks like? Initially, she just kind of wrote the same letter, but like in a bigger size. Yeah. And I was like, okay, can you try to make it bigger? And so she wasn't getting the uppercase part of it. And so now she knows how to differentiate that uppercase and lowercase. So that's amazing to me for her to make that step, and for her to make connections of like, okay, I just spelled this word. This is, yesterday we were spelling the word train, and that's something that she hadn't done before. And so she was super excited to realize, hey, I spelled the word train. So, yeah, little things like that is exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure this isn't your only, like, I'm sure you volunteered, you know, plenty of times before. Like, why for you is volunteering important?
I believe in giving back to the community, and because of my disability, I have osteogenesis imperfecta, which is brittle bones. So for many years, I've had to make multiple visits to Valley Children's Hospital. So it's no like surprise for me to end up being at the hospital for you know, long periods of time. So as I was in high school, I volunteered there because, again, for an assignment, but I enjoyed it because I got the exposure of seeing an environment that I had never experienced before. You know, being hospitalized, I was fortunate enough to have my family, to have my parents and my brother beside me. Whereas these kids, a lot of them, a lot of the ones that I interacted with, either didn't have both parents together, or they were in the foster system. And that was something that I couldn't imagine being in their position, you know, being in a hospital and being alone, really, you know. And I had to give back in some way. And that's why I enjoyed volunteering there, and that's why I continue to volunteer here.
Has your disability played a role in your volunteering, or has it been a factor or not?
Not necessarily, because this, you know, because we have gone remote, you know, on a remote platform, I don't have the issue of, you know, if we were in person, mobility, or getting to, you know, for example, the location of the tutoring sessions. I would need to, you know, find a way to get there. But because we're doing everything online, that, you know, benefits me because I'm able to do it from, you know, from my home. So that doesn't really apply to me.
I don't know. Is there any word of advice as you're almost about to graduate? You know, any words of wisdom that you'd love to pass on?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes, for sure. Something that I learned at a young age is that Einstein said something like, if you never make mistakes in your life, you never learn anything, because you're always afraid of making those mistakes. So that's one thing that has worked for me, is trial and error. You always try something new with a kid, and if it doesn't work, try something else. You know, don't be afraid to say, hey, oh, well, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Write this other letter, or oops, we wrote this other letter instead of the what it was supposed to be. So never be afraid to make mistakes is my advice.
Yeah, that's good. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, I know these folks on this workshop are going to really appreciate your words of wisdom.
I
So.
appreciate your time. Thank you for inviting me to do this interview.
All right. Well, you know, I hope you enjoyed that, and really appreciate you sharing Milka with us. But as EMP, we would just want to continue to invite you into whatever your next steps. I know not everybody's in the Fresno Clovis area, but there are volunteer organizations in your area. So there are nonprofits in your area. You can email me. I'll put my email up here later. And if I know somebody in your area, I can point you to them. And then if you're in the Fresno County kind of area, EMP maintains a website called Serve Fresno. So we put our volunteer opportunities on there that you can volunteer with EMP. And then we also have other projects. So I think there's, you know, about 60 nonprofits, CBOs that put their volunteer opportunities up on that website. And we try and keep that thing up to date for you to find something that's a passion for you, something that would give you life and benefit our community, benefit the people they're serving, and benefit the people in need. And so we really just want you to take a next step. I don't know what your next step would be, but invite you to take that next step, to begin to think about, you know, what are the things I'm good at? What are the things I love doing? And is there any alignment? Like, is there any tracks that would line up here in that kind of space? And so you have gifts, you have abilities. You're good at some things that no one else is, or you're good at some things and love some things that not many people do. And I know that you can be a blessing to our nonprofits and to the people of your community. And so EMP just wants to cheerlead you on to try new things, right? Milka said that too, like, just try, just go, just try it and give it a shot. Again, you don't have to commit to this for the rest of your life, but you can give it a shot and see if you fall in love with it, if it's your thing. If not, you move on to the next thing, right? Feel free to email me. So my email is andrew@everyneighborhood.org. If you're in Merced or you're in Modesto and you're looking for an organization, I know some, right? I'm connected to some organizations that are doing really good work, and they also know their community. So if you can't volunteer with them, they could point you into another direction. But there is really no excuse. It's good for you. It gives you purpose. It gives you connection. And it really builds your skills as a future leader in our valley. We need leaders that are empathetic. As I think about the type of folks that volunteer and the type of folks I want to hire folks that understand the pain of our neighborhoods. They understand what people are going through. They want to do something about it, and they have made commitments. They've made lifestyle choices to serve others. Man, that's the type of leader we need in our community. And I invite you to find those volunteer opportunities. You know, obviously with your disability, there may be some limitations, but a lot of our organizations will be flexible. They'll make accommodations, and they want your presence alongside of their other volunteers. And so invite you into those next steps. If we can help you in any way, let us know. But I'm super grateful that you tuned in this morning or whenever you're watching this, and really glad to be able to lift up some awesome voices in our community and help you serve. We'll see you later.
Awesome. That was a great video. In the idea of staying timely here, because we've already went over a couple of minutes, we're going to go ahead and have Gerald launch our poll. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this poll is to let us know how we did, as well as to enter you into a prize. If you're listening within your classroom, you'll be getting an email out, teachers, and we will be able to send you a Google form that you'll be able to give to your students to fill this out. We won't be drawing prizes till the close of the conference, which is next week. But as we fill out the form, if anyone wants to type in our Q&A about what kind of volunteerism work that they've done, we'd love to hear you share it.
Yeah, so we have some people, they said, when I volunteer at the aquarium, I get to teach people about the ocean and how important it is to take care of our planet and how they can make a difference. And then they said when they get excited and know what they can, that they can do something, I get excited too, and it feels good.
Awesome.
Other people said that they volunteer by bringing food to people who cannot leave their house.
Nice.
So I love helping people. It makes me feel very blessed that I can do something to make another person or family feel great. We should always think of others, not just ourselves.
That's absolutely right. And just on a quick side note, both Jordan and I got our jobs with Resources for Independent Central Valley by being volunteers. And Gerald as well. Gerald was an intern and continued to do some volunteer work, just like Jordan, with RACV, and ended up getting hired. I was a volunteer with a couple of different organizations and ended up being noticed by a former executive director, and that's how I got my job at RACV. So, there's a lot of benefits to volunteerism. Gerald, how are we doing with our poll?
I'm not Gerald, but we are at 33 of 40. So now we're at 33 of 39. So 84
We're at
people.
84%. And yes, I was an intern before I got my job here, and I volunteered afterward, but that's mostly because this place would fall apart without me,
And me, I did my internship, and then I was really bored during the summer, and I asked Sarah, even though I'm done, is it cool if I still hang around? And she said, absolutely.
So you never know what volunteer work can lead to. We also have another young man who some of you guys may know, Jose Luis, who works with us, and same thing. He was a volunteer and an intern, and the same thing with Chloe, who we saw earlier in the video. So that's a lot of times how this stuff works. And I just want to remind everyone that we'll be back next Tuesday. It'll be our final session, and that's going to be all about advocacy. It's called Listen Up, My Words Count Too. And that's going to be a great 2 sessions. And I hope that you guys make it on for that as well. And then do we have anything else in our chat? And how's the poll?
In our chat, someone asked, how do we get into EMP and start giving back to less appreciated people and start food drives and community charities?
So I believe at the end there, he had given, it was servefresno.com. Does that sound right, Jordan? For the website?
I think so.
We have 89% of the poll. I believe in us. We can get to 191.
We can do it. We can do it.
2 more people. Come on. I believe in you, whoever you are.
We really want to hear your feedback. Very, very valuable to us. And you can win a prize.
We are at 100%, but that's mostly because some people left. And that makes me sad. But
oh, but that's okay. We're at 100%. All right. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Let's give a big virtual hand of applause to our presenters, as well as to Bree, our ASL interpreter for today.
All right.
And to Jordan and Gerald for being so super. Yay. All right, everyone. Well, happy Tuesday. Go get some lunch.
Sorry,
Bye.
I'm just downloading the poll.
No worries, no worries.
All right, bye.